Good afternoon. I'm Marilee Rosine Beasley, and I am bringing you another YouTube video today. Yesterday was Martin Luther King holiday. Dr. King was an amazing person, and he always protested peacefully. Now, what do you think Dr. King would think about what's going on, where people are saying they're protesting, but then they loot and burn down buildings and hurt people and maybe kill people in riots? That is not what Dr. King was promoting. I think he would be disappointed, and I think he would be heartbroken. So I want everybody in this country who is promoting that kind of behavior to pause and stop and think, because I'm seeing things that I am shocked by in leadership, things that Nancy Pelosi has said, Kamala Harris, and so forth. And it's not a proud moment in my opinion. I'm 71 years old and I wasn't raised this way. I wasn't allowed to fib, and I'm not going to start now. And I understand that politicians get to say whatever they want unless they're under oath. And I believe, I'm a Christian believer, I believe that God is in control, and I believe we are seeing things that I never thought I would see in my lifetime in the United States of America, and I think it's horrible. I went to a high school, and the name of it was Nathan Hale. And Nathan Hale was hung as a spy when he was 21 years old by the British. And he said something like, "I regret that I only have one life to give for my country." Now, what I see now is I see people in Congress, and they're just so silly, and they're doing things that I never imagined in my lifetime I would see. I do not understand why there are senators who are not standing for the truth. This isn't about President Trump. This is bigger than that. So I trust that people will do some soul searching. And I have been praying like I have never prayed before. And I don't know why anybody thinks it's acceptable for us to believe that Joe Biden won that election when Dominion was helping with all that nonsense. I believe that President Trump will be the president on Wednesday. President Trump took an oath of office, and the military takes something like this, the oath. President Trump must defend the country against enemies, both foreign and domestic. So I want you to remember that President Trump is in charge, and he was aware over 4 years ago about the election. He knew almost, over 4 years ago that election was rigged, and he is not a fool. People may not like him because he's a womanizer. Okay. And I want to remind everybody about King David in the Old Testament. King David, he did something that wasn't very nice because he saw a woman and he wanted her, and she was the wife of a person she was married to somebody in the military. All right, so I want to just say some other things. I have been promoting an emergency preparedness flyer for about 2.5 years, and this flyer had really to do with the flooding that happens in Jersey Village, where I live. And this has been on my website for a long time, and I have been actually talking about this for a long time. And so I recommend that you consider making sure that you have some dried food, that you have some first aid supplies, maybe some soap. Perhaps you will get some other things that are relevant if for whatever reason somebody zaps the electric grid. And think about this. What if you can't buy gasoline? Do you have a bicycle? Can you walk somewhere for help? Do you have knowledge about basic medical care? I am a registered nurse and a school teacher, certified school teacher. So I would know what to do. And in an emergency, who would I call? Would my cell phone even work? So I recommend you consider getting, if it's not too late, that you might get a set of walkie-talkies and make sure you have some batteries. All right, so just make sure that you think about what you might need for a while. Now, I wanted to talk about the 17th Amendment. And since I'm not that familiar with it, I'm going to read something. It says here in 1787, delegates to the Constitutional Convention decided to give state legislatures the power to select U.S. senators. The purpose was to ensure that the interests of the states were represented in the national legislature. However, some argue that the people should directly elect their senators. They thought the interest of the states would be preserved because the people were the source of all government power. The first of nearly 300 congressional resolutions calling for direct election of senators came in 1826. Over the next 85 years, an amendment to directly elect U.S. senators was debated extensively. Finally, in 1913, the 17th Amendment, which allowed for the direct election of senators, was ratified. So that's a little bit of history that you may not have been familiar with. All right, so I want to just tell you that there's places that you can look this up on the internet, which is where I got this. All right, now, there's also something else that's called the Convention of the States. And I happen to know somebody that's a delegate or is active in that group. And that's another option. If there are a number of states that are willing to band together, which I believe is true, then they have a way to also take care of matters. So for all of those out there that are concerned that Joe Biden will be in office on Wednesday, I think that you need to pause and look for more information about the 17th Amendment and the Convention of the States. And I want everybody, if you are a believer of some sort, and I don't care right now if you're Jewish, if you're a Christian believer, if you're some other faith, please pray. Pray for this country because it's under attack. And I wouldn't be surprised if President Trump has a detailed plan. And wouldn't be surprising if the Department of Justice brought a team in and maybe arrested anybody that was doing things, making deals with China. Wouldn't that be considered treason? I think so. So I want to say a shout out to one of my state senators, Senator Ted Cruz. He used to live down the street from where I live now in high school. So thank you, Senator Ted Cruz, for standing for the truth. And thank you for the other senators who stood with Ted Cruz, because it's very hard to stand alone when you know you are right and everybody else is booing you and telling you to go away, insulting you. And that's okay, because I believe in God and I am a Christian believer, and Jesus was mocked. Jesus was mocked over and over again, and his followers too. And let's look at the world now. Do we have Christians almost everywhere around the world? Do the Christians act like they should? Of course not. God is love. I pray for peace and harmony. Thank you.